The words hit me like shrapnel. I stood frozen in the doorway of Romano's fine dining, my purple heart medal suddenly feeling heavy against my chest. My name is James Washington, 62 years old, Vietnam veteran, and I'd just been told I didn't belong in the restaurant where I'd eaten every Friday for 3 years. The owner, Vincent Romano, blocked my path, his face twisted with disgust. Behind him, other diners stared. Some looked away, others pulled out phones. "Excuse me?" My voice stayed level. Military training's kicked in. "You heard me," Romano's voice dripped venom. "This is a respectable establishment. We don't serve your kind here." My hands trembled, not from fear, from rage. 3 tours in Vietnam, 2 Bronze Stars, 30 years as a high school janitor, and this man saw only my skin color. "I've been coming here for years," I said quietly. "Not anymore." Romano crossed his arms. "Find somewhere else." The dining room fell silent. Forks stopped mid-bite. Conversations died. I could have fought, could have demanded service, could have made a scene. Instead, I turned around and walked out. But Vincent Romano had no idea who he'd just humiliated. He had no idea that my son, David Washington, was the new district attorney. The same David Washington who'd been investigating Romano's restaurant for tax evasion. And he definitely had no idea that his racist tirade had just been live-streamed by a customer to 50,000 followers. 3 hours earlier, my day had started like any other Friday. I woke up at 5:30, made coffee, read the newspaper. The routine never changed. At 62, I valued consistency, structure, order. My small apartment was military precise, bed made with hospital corners, shoes lined up perfectly, everything in its place. I'd lived alone since my wife Martha passed 5 years ago. The silence didn't bother me anymore. Sometimes I even preferred it. But Fridays were different. Fridays meant dinner at Romano's. It started as a way to treat myself, a reward for surviving another week. The food was excellent, the atmosphere refined. It made me feel dignified, worthy. I'd saved up for months before my first visit, bought a new suit, polished my best shoes, even practiced using the fancy silverware. The staff had always been polite, professional. I tipped well and caused no trouble. Romano himself had even shaken my hand once, thanked me for my service when he noticed my veteran's pin, or so I thought. I spent the afternoon preparing as usual. Shower, shave, pressed my good shirt twice to get the creases perfect. I looked forward to their salmon special, to the warm bread rolls, to feeling like I mattered. But when I pushed through those glass doors at exactly 6 o'clock, everything changed. Romano's face contorted the moment he saw me. Like I was something disgusting, he'd stepped in. "You people don't belong in a place like this." The walk home felt endless. Every step echoed with Romano's words. Every face I passed seemed to judge me. I'd faced enemy fire in the jungle, dodged bullets and bombs, watched good men die. But this hurt worse than any wound, because this was home. This was the country I'd bled for. My phone buzzed. A text from my son, David. "Dad, dinner Sunday? Maria's making your favorite." I stared at the message. David had no idea what just happened. No idea his father had been treated like dirt. My son was everything I dreamed he could be. Harvard Law School, district attorney at 35, a fighter for justice. But I couldn't tell him about tonight, couldn't bear to see the pain in his eyes. I typed back, "Sounds great, loving you." Another buzz. This time a call from my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. "James, you need to see this." "See what?" "Someone posted a video online. It's you at that restaurant." My blood turned cold. "What video?" "That awful man. What he said to you, it's everywhere." I hung up and rushed to my computer, opened Facebook with shaking fingers. There it was. The video had already been shared hundreds of times. The comments made my stomach churn. Disgusting racist behavior. This is 2024, not 1924. Someone needs to shut this place down. But also, good for the owner. Private business. His choice. Finally, someone with backbone. I slammed the laptop shut. The humiliation burned twice as hot now. By morning, the video had gone viral. 2 million views. National news coverage. Protesters gathering outside Romano's. My phone rang constantly. Reporters wanting interviews, activists demanding statements. I ignored them all. David called at 8 a.m. Dad, I just saw the news. Are you okay? His voice carried that protective edge I remembered from his childhood. When bullies picked on smaller kids. When he saw injustice. I'm fine, son. No, you're not. This is unacceptable. I'm coming over. David, don't. The line went dead. 20 minutes later, he stood in my doorway, tall like me, but broader. His mother's eyes, but my stubborn jaw. Behind him stood his wife, Maria, and their twin daughters, Sophie and Grace. Grandpa! The girls rushed to hug me. For a moment, the pain faded. These beautiful children saw only love when they looked at me. We came to take you to breakfast, Maria said softly. Somewhere that deserves your business. David's expression was stone-cold fury, barely contained. Dad, I need to tell you something about Romano. What about him? I've been investigating his restaurant, tax evasion, money laundering. We're close to filing charges. My heart stopped. You've been investigating him? For 6 months. The man's a criminal. David's fists clenched, and now he's shown his true colors. The irony hit like a sledgehammer. Romano had humiliated the father of the very prosecutor hunting him. But David didn't know that yet. The breakfast was tense despite Maria's efforts to keep things light. The girls chattered about school, about their upcoming dance recital, normal family stuff. But David kept checking his phone. His jaw stayed tight. Uncle David looks angry, Sophie whispered to me. He's not angry at you, sweetheart. Is he angry at the mean man? Kids see everything, understand more than we think. Sometimes grown-ups are mean for no good reason, I told her. But that doesn't make it right. Grace climbed into my lap. Grandpa, why was that man mean to you? The question every parent dreads. How do you explain hatred to innocence? Some people judge others by how they look instead of who they are inside. That's stupid, Grace declared. Yes, it is. David overheard. His expression softened for a moment. Dad, I want to file charges. What Romano did was illegal discrimination. I just want to forget it happened. We can't let him get away with this. And we won't, Maria added firmly. This isn't just about you, James. It's about everyone he might hurt next. She was right. I knew she was right. But the thought of reliving that humiliation in court made me sick. That afternoon, David went to work while I stayed home with the girls. Maria had errands to run. The twins were old enough to mostly take care of themselves, but they liked having Grandpa around. We were playing board games when the doorbell rang. Sophie ran to answer it before I could stop her. Grandpa, there's a lady here with a camera. My heart sank. I'd forgotten to check the peephole. The reporter pushed past my granddaughter into my living room. Mr. Washington, I'm Jennifer Hayes from Channel 7 News. Can you comment on get out? My voice carried 30 years of military authority. Sir, the public has a right to know. You have 10 seconds before I call the police. She left, but not before her cameraman got footage of me and the girls. I called David immediately. They're using the children now, I told him. The silence on the other end was terrifying. Dad, I'm coming to get you. Pack a bag. You're staying with us until this dies down. I won't be driven from my home. It's not safe. These media vultures have no limits. He was right again, but admitting it felt like another defeat. That evening, Romano's restaurant burned. Not literally, but the damage was just as devastating. Protesters surrounded the building. Reviews flooded in with one-star ratings. Reservation cancellations poured in. The video had sparked something bigger than one old man's humiliation. It had become a symbol, a rallying cry. David called with updates every hour. Romano's trying to do damage control, claims he was having a bad day, says his words were taken out of context. Were they? Dad, I watched the video. There's no context that makes what he said acceptable. True, but I still felt sick about the mob mentality taking over. I never wanted this circus. I know, but sometimes the circus finds us anyway. By midnight, 3 major restaurant chains had pulled their contracts with Romano's catering company. His business was hemorrhaging money by the hour. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me felt guilty. I'd wanted dignity. Instead, I'd gotten a war. Sunday dinner at David's house felt like a refuge. Maria's cooking filled the air with warmth. The girls showed me their latest art projects. For a few hours, I almost forgot about the chaos. But David's phone kept buzzing. Work? I asked. The Romano investigation. My team wants to accelerate the timeline. Because of what happened to me? David hesitated. Partially, but mainly because we're worried he might destroy evidence. Desperate people do desperate things. How desperate? He's already fired 3 employees, claiming budget cuts, but these were people who might have testified against him. The web kept expanding. My humiliation had triggered something much larger. David, I need to ask you something. Anything. If I weren't your father, would you still be pursuing this so aggressively? He set down his fork, looked me straight in the eye. Dad, I became a prosecutor because of you. Because you taught me that justice matters, that standing up for what's right matters. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. I'd pursue this case regardless. But knowing what he did to you makes it personal. Maria reached across the table and squeezed my hand. James, David's been working on this case since January. Long before Friday night. This isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. I wanted to believe her, needed to believe her. But the timing felt too convenient, too neat. Monday morning brought a surprise visitor. Vincent Romano stood on my doorstep, alone, no lawyers, no cameras. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 3 days. Mr. Washington, may I come in? Every instinct screamed no, but curiosity won. 5 minutes. He sat on my couch like a broken man. His arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like fear. I came to apologize. Little late for that. I know, but I need you to understand something. I'm not a racist. I laughed, actually laughed. You told me I didn't belong in your restaurant because of my skin color. What would you call that? A mistake. A terrible, stupid mistake. Try again. Romano's composure cracked. My business is dying. 30 years of work destroyed in 3 days. My employees are quitting. My suppliers are burned, they're dropping me. My own mother won't return my calls. Good. Please. I have a family. Kids. If this continues, I'll lose everything. Should have thought about that before you decided to humiliate a paying customer. I was wrong, completely wrong, but I'm begging you to call off the bums. I'm not controlling anyone. I didn't ask for this circus, but you could stop it. One statement from you could calm things down. I studied his face, saw genuine desperation, maybe even genuine remorse, but also calculation. This wasn't about making amends. This was about damage control. Mr. Romano, do you know what I did for 30 years? No. I cleaned up after other people's messes, mopped floors, emptied trash, made sure everything was perfect for folks who barely noticed I existed. I don't understand. I spent my whole life being invisible, being grateful for scraps. And Friday night, you reminded me exactly how the world sees me. Romano shifted uncomfortably. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave my house. You're going to face whatever consequences come your way, and you're going to learn that actions have consequences. What about forgiveness? Don't you believe in second chances? I believe you're sorry you got caught. I believe you're sorry your business is suffering, but I don't believe you're sorry for what you said to me. That's not true. Get out. He left without another word. That afternoon, David called with news. We're filing charges tomorrow, tax evasion, money laundering, and civil rights violations. Civil rights? What he did to you was illegal discrimination. We have video evidence and witnesses. My stomach churned. David, I need to know this isn't because I'm your father. Dad, we've been over this. I need to hear you say it. A long pause. This prosecution is based on evidence we've been gathering for months. The discrimination charge is new, but it's supported by clear video evidence. Any prosecutor would file these charges. Promise me. I promise. But Dad, I also promise that what he did to you makes this personal for me. and I'm not apologizing for that. Fair enough. The trial preparation consumed weeks. David's team built their case methodically. Financial records, witness statements, digital evidence. Romano hired expensive lawyers, claimed selective prosecution, argued that the tax charges were weak. But the discrimination case was airtight. The video spoke for itself. I testified on a Tuesday morning in November. The courtroom was packed. Media, activists, curious onlookers. Romano's lawyer tried to rattle me, questioned my memory, suggested I'd misunderstood his client's words. Mr. Washington, isn't it possible my client was referring to dress code violations rather than race? I was wearing a suit and tie. Perhaps he meant you didn't have a reservation? I'd been eating there every Friday for 3 years. They knew me. Could there have been some other misunderstanding? I looked directly at Romano. He couldn't meet my eyes. Sir, your client looked at me and said, "You people don't belong in a place like this." There's no misunderstanding that. The jury deliberated for 2 hours, guilty on all counts. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for December. Romano faced 5 years in prison. His restaurant had already closed permanently. His catering business was bankrupt. But something unexpected happened the night before sentencing. Romano's daughter called me. "Mr. Washington, my name is Angela Romano. I'm Vincent's daughter. What do you want?" "To apologize for my father and to tell you something he should have told you himself." "I'm listening." "My father grew up poor in South Philadelphia. His parents were immigrants who faced terrible discrimination. He knows what prejudice feels like. That makes what he did worse, not better." "I agree, but I wanted you to know that he taught me to judge people by their character, not their color. He coached my brother's basketball team, which was mostly black kids. He donated money to the NAACP. Then why? Because he's been under enormous stress. The investigation, financial problems, his mother's illness. He snapped and said something unforgivable. Stress doesn't excuse racism. No, it doesn't, but it might explain it. I thought about her words long into the night. At the sentencing hearing, I was allowed to make a victim impact statement. The courtroom was silent as I approached the podium. Romano sat at the defendant's table, head bowed. "Your Honor, Vincent Romano humiliated me in front of a room full of people. He made me feel small, worthless, less than human." Romano's shoulders shook. "But I've had time to think about what justice means. Real justice, not revenge." I looked at Romano directly. "Mr. Romano, what you said was wrong, inexcusable. It caused me real pain and damaged your community's trust." He finally met my eyes. "But I also know that destroying your life completely doesn't heal the harm you caused. It just creates more damage." The prosecutor looked surprised. David's expression was unreadable. "I believe you should face consequences, real consequences. But I also believe in the possibility of redemption." Romano was crying now. "So I'm asking this court to consider alternatives to maximum prison time, community service in minority neighborhoods, sensitivity training, making amends through action, not just words." The judge sentenced Romano to 18 months in prison, followed by 2 years of community service. He was also required to attend cultural sensitivity training and make a public apology. The public apology happened on the courthouse steps. Romano stood behind a microphone facing a crowd of protesters and supporters. "I want to apologize to James Washington, to the community, and to everyone I hurt with my words and actions." His voice was steady but emotional. "There is no excuse for what I said. No context that makes it acceptable. I allowed stress and fear to bring out the worst in me." Someone in the crowd shouted, "Too little." "Oh, too late," Romano continued. "I can't undo the harm I caused, but I can commit to doing better, to learning from this, to making amends through my actions." He looked directly at me. "Mr. Washington, you showed me grace I didn't deserve. I hope to someday earn the forgiveness I don't deserve." The crowd was mixed in its response. Some applauded, others walked away in disgust. But I felt something I hadn't expected, a sense of closure. 2 years later, I got a letter. It was from Romano, writing from a community center in North Philadelphia where he was serving his community service. Dear Mr. Washington, I wanted to update you on my progress. I've been working with at-risk youth here for 18 months now, teaching cooking classes, helping with job training. At first, the kids didn't trust me. They knew my story, knew what I'd done, but slowly, some began to give me a chance. Last week, a young man named Jerome told me I'd helped him believe in himself again, that my cooking class gave him hope for his future. I thought you should know that the consequences of my actions haven't just been punishment. They've been education, transformation. I'll never fully undo the harm I caused you, but I'm trying to create some good from the ashes of my mistakes. I hope you're well. Vincent Romano. I read the letter twice. Then I did something I never thought I would. I wrote back. My response was simple. Mr. Romano, thank you for your letter. I'm glad to hear you're finding ways to contribute positively to the community. Redemption is possible for anyone willing to do the hard work of change. It sounds like you're doing that work. I wish you continued success in your journey. James Washington. I never heard from him again. But 6 months later, I saw a news story about the community center where he worked. It had received a major grant to expand its programs. Romano was quoted in the article. Sometimes our worst moments can lead to our most important work. 5 years have passed since that night at Romano's restaurant. I still eat out on Fridays. Different places now. I've discovered I like variety more than routine. David was re-elected as district attorney. He's considering running for state attorney general. Justice remains his passion. The twins, who are 10 now, they barely remember the incident, but they know Grandpa stood up for what was right. Maria still makes my favorite Sunday dinners. And sometimes when I'm feeling generous, I tell people that forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about choosing who you want to be going forward. Romano lost his restaurant, served his time, but he also found a new purpose. I lost my innocence about how I'm seen in this world, but I gained something too. The knowledge that dignity isn't something others can take away. It's something you carry within yourself. The video of that night has been viewed over 10 million times now. It sparked conversations about racism, justice, and redemption across the country. But for me, it will always be the night I learned that sometimes the worst things that happen to us can lead to the most important lessons we teach. And sometimes justice served with mercy tastes better than revenge served cold. My name is James Washington. I'm a veteran, a father, a grandfather, and a survivor. And I belong wherever I choose to go.